Now finally comes is the data types. Okay, so what is data type? We have already seen, okay, that when we will going to decide that this type of values I want to store in this variable. Now accordingly I need to decide its variable, okay, and which I need to write. So now let's see what different types of variable we are having in the Apex. Okay, so the in the Apex, data types define the type of data that can be stored and manipulated by the variables and the expression. Here are some of the main data types available in the Apex. So using this data type only, we will going to decide, okay, so this type of value I want to store in this variable. So first comes is the primitive data types. So what comes under the primitive data types? So first is the integer. This will going to represent the whole numbers. Okay, so whatever the numbers are there, what any kind of number you want to store, then your data type will be integer in this case. Okay, so like this is the variable name and I want to store 10 here, so the data type will be integer. Now similarly, if I want to store any decimal value, okay, that is 10.5, 10.005 or something like this, so in this case your data type will be decimal. So this is your variable name and now the data type will be decimal, and now you can add the values after the points also, okay, in the decimal format. Now the double is there. So what is the difference between decimal and the double? So in this case of double, now you can add more values after the decimals. Okay, so here only one place or the two places are allowed, but more than one or two places, if you want to add the values, then you can use the double. Okay, now the three places are added, 5, 6 and 7 after the decimal. So in this case, the data type will be double. But if you will going to store this value in the decimal, then you will see that the value it will going to store will be 5.6. Okay, sorry, 10.56 only. But if you want to store this 7 also, then you need to make the data type as double. Okay, now the next comes is the boolean. So boolean is the one which will going to store two values. So the first one will be true or the second is the false. Other than this, no values it will going to store. If you want to store any values based on the true and false only, then your data type will be boolean. Okay, how you will going to create this? Like suppose I want to create a boolean variable. Let's close this. Okay, so my variable I want to store. So flag is the name of my variable and I want to store true here in this variable. Okay, so what will be the data type now your? It will be the boolean. Okay, because my value is true. Similarly, if you want to store false, then again your data type will be boolean here in this case. Okay, whenever there is a need to store only true and false, then the data type will be boolean. Now the next is string. Whenever you want to store any text values, then you can use the string. Okay, that is the sequence of characters, which means the any text values you want to store, then the string will be the data type, like hello, hello world, Kanika, forceGalaxy, any kind of text you want to store, then the data type will be the string. Now similarly, if you want to store the date, then the data type will be the date. Okay, so like suppose I want to store the today's date, okay, in the variable. So variable name is today's date I want to store. Okay, and like suppose I want to access the today's date directly, whatever the date is there in my org, the same date I want to access. So using the system dot today, it will automatically give me the date which is available in my org. Okay, so today's date, whatever the date is there in my org, this will going to give me. Now in this variable I want to store, so what will be the data type here? So the data type will be date. Okay, now it will going to help me to store the date in this variable. So all these are known as the primitive data type, where simple values or the straightforward values I want to store, like integer, decimal, boolean, or the string and the date. All these values if I want to store, then they will going to known as the primitive data type. Now similarly, date and time is there and the time is there. Only time if you want to store, then the time please mute yourself. Hello Ravi, please mute yourself. Okay, so now the next is time. I want to check or want to store time value in the variable, then the time will be the data type. And if I want to store date plus time, okay, what is this date plus time? So let's go to one of the record. So I'm not sure if you guys have noticed that whenever we used to create the record, then two fields used to be there, the created date and the last modified date. Okay, and that two fields we used to see that it will going to give me the date also, and plus it will also going to give me the time also, that at this time the record was created or at this time the record was modified. Okay, now let's check the values where they are. So this is the one last modify and the created. Here you will see the values it will going to store is the date also and the time also. Okay, so the same type of values if I want to store, then what will be your data type? Then the data type will be date and time. Okay, date time will be the data type in that case. Okay, so these are the simple data type which is known as the primitive data types. Now next we will going to have the complex one. Okay, or when I want to store multiple values in the same data type, so in that case collection and the s objects will come. So these two we will going to start tomorrow. Okay, the completely new concept called collections and the s objects, they both are related to the Salesforce. Okay, how you will going to store multiple values of a string, multiple values of date, time, anything. So in that case, collections and the other data types will going to come into the picture. Okay, so we will going to resume here from tomorrow the collection concepts. Till here, any doubt, any query, if anyone is having, can ask me.